way too freaking early. Far too early than I would prefer to be up and about. I'll say I would not mind being dead asleep right now, curled up in 5 blankets, cozy as can be, probably dreaming some baller ass dreams. But come on, wake up. This is fucking reality. We got some shit to do. So this might end up being just a total crapshoot of totally random, unrelated clips, but whatever. So headed over to the hotel by the Arnold Expo, and then we're not just going straight there. We got to go lift. So stop one is actually going to be American Barbell. I'm hitting back with Jacob Robichow, a real dyed-in-the-wool professional bodybuilder, not just an amateur schmuck like myself. So I'm sure that'll be a good lift, even on what I would maybe be considered, or what I would maybe consider slightly less than an ideal amount of sleep. I've never let that stop me from getting a solid pump before. And then a muscle like back, I mean, that's no problem either. So, plan there is, I don't know. This gym has a ton of shit. This is not going to be a workout video. I'm going to get like some posing clips from it. But the actual workouts, they're going to be on the Hosstile channel probably pretty soon. I'm sure they'll get these edited and posted pretty quick after we do them. But yeah, first lift is going to be back. American Barbell, it's not like a mecca. It's not a massive gym, but it is full of every new piece of prime equipment, smooth cables, and whatever else you could freaking imagine. So I'm sure we'll do some rows with like some specific strength curves or some pull downs. I mean, if I had to guess, one thing I definitely want to do is get some assisted pull downs going. It's like, sure, I can feel a pretty solid burn doing a set of pull downs on my own to failure, but it's a different level entirely when you get to the point where you can only get the bar to like nose height or even like top of the head height, and you have somebody else help you down to the fullest fucking contraction you could get, and then let you deal with the fucking, eccentric. So I don't know if this is, I feel like I've heard Dorian Yates say this specific sort of speech pretty often, but there's 3 phases of movement, right? Your concentric, where you're actually lifting the weight in a pull down, and be pulling it down. And then there's that little holding force, and then there's the eccentric. So I do like the idea, or not the idea, I literally just do like assisted reps, because your first sort of sequence of muscular failure is going to be that concentric. Right? I'll still be able to slowly return the weight upwards, but need assistance actually pulling it back down. So having somebody else help you actually bring it down chin level, and then you have to deal with the fucking, burn of letting it up in a relatively controlled manner, it just totally changes it. So I'm sure we'll pick some of that. But part of me also wants to do whatever kind of back day he does. Because if you train solo, you gotta remember, nearly, I don't even know how many, 99%, 90% of all my back days have just sort of fucking popped out of my own brain. Not that I haven't used like other people's workouts as like inspiration in a way, but even though I feel like I am pretty varied with my training, maybe I could be doing it in a sort of a subconscious pattern where every back day is kind of the same thing. I try to mix it up. I try to do different rows and pull downs and rep schemes and orders of movements, but lifting with somebody else, I'll kind of show you a little bit of a different way to go about it. If you can back off and sort of let them take control of what sets or what movements that they want to do. Like if we move on to like a row, and he's like, "Oh, I really like doing drop sets here," I'll say, "Fuck yeah, man, let's hit it." Even though maybe I would prefer just like off the top of my head, do like a straight set. Worth changing it up. And then another thing about training with other people, especially full-fledged lifters, other people, is fucking get you going. You know, it's not like I'm walking in here like, oh, I'm gonna try to lift more weight than them, or I'm gonna. It's not like that. But if you see somebody do a solid ass set, and you're up next in the queue, you don't want to disappoint. So if you're training on your own for most of the time, you can kind of lose track of just how hard your sets are. What happens if every set you do, you go to like what you think is failure, like what you think is a good set, but then you watch somebody next to you reach the same level you did, but then take it 2 steps higher. So a lot of the times, you can take your sets further, either with assistance or with just pure willpower. Like when it comes to something like a bench or something like a squat, or let me think what else, or like a pull down, stuff like that. Muscular failure isn't too hard. You know, I can reach a point on barbell bench on my own where I can literally hit failure and I cannot do another complete rep, and I need to, put the weight onto the safeties, or else I'm going to get smushed. But if I've got somebody training with me, or maybe not even training with me, but just being next to me to spot me, if you go up to fucking anybody in the gym, maybe don't ask like a 100-pound kid to spot you on 315, but most people are going to be pretty accommodating. They'll help you out. I would recommend safeties, even with a spotter though. But you can have somebody give you some assisted reps. You get to a point where you know you're at failure, and then instead of just re-racking it, try to get 3 more outs. Tell the guy, like, all right, really pull on these. Sometimes I get a little bit too. I think sometimes I've overestimated either the strength of my spotter or my own strength, to the point where I think I probably make them do a little bit too much work. And with something like an incline barbell spot, you're kind of like hovering over nothing. That's probably a little freaky. But, that's what I'm talking about. So, oh yeah, and then with sets which are a little bit more tame in terms of like the actual weight that you're lifting, but it's more so of like burning out. Like if you're doing lateral raises with the 30s or something, or dumbbell curls, relatively light, or whatever movements where you can do a considerable amount of partials. I've definitely done sets where, and I'm not saying like a few times, I've definitely done this on a consistent basis. It's something I want to work on, where I end the set just because I feel like, okay, that's enough. But in reality, how many more reps could I have gotten out? Just because my triceps are on fire at rep 15, if I can get 5 more complete reps out, even though they're really hard and uncomfortable, like I'm really fucking exerting myself to get them, that's what I should be doing. I'm not saying I do that every set, but that is the bar that I want to, approach with my training. I think every so often, and this doesn't even have to do with training with other people, but sometimes it can sort of be a catalyst for this kind of like self-realization. But I can remember pretty fucking distinctly, every few, it hasn't really happened as of late. I feel like I've been pushing myself pretty well. But hey, maybe that's just me being complacent. I'm being a fucking chump and I should take it to the next level. But I can remember throughout my transition from like year 1 lifter to year 2 to year 3, every so often, maybe 6 months or so, sometimes it's because like I had a lift where I could tell I didn't really push myself, or maybe, I don't know. I remember one time, I've only ever been to one bodybuilding show, and I thought it was kind of big. I was in the low 200s. I felt pretty big at the time. And the classic guys come out, who I'm like trying to compare myself with, and the person next to me, I was like talking smack on the amateurs, and the person next to me is like, oh, could you beat them? Because these guys were like more full-fledged classic dudes. And I drove home. I was like, fuck, man, I got to take it up a notch. I got to really start going hard. I think over time, your lifts, and this could also just sort of be your overall dedication to pushing yourself towards progress, but it should kind of, I don't want to say it steadily increases, because that's not really my experience. In the beginning as a lifter, I'm like just eating some protein. I'm like, honestly, all I would do is I'd go down to the basement and I'd bench probably just pretty much every day. Not even doing working sets, but I would just bench like 135 for a couple sets. Like that's the kind of goofiness I was just starting off with, which no problem with it, but that's just kind of what was going on. So there was like an initial investment that was like here for I don't know maybe a month or so, and then I'm like, okay, I should really I look up like how to do an actual workout split or an actual routine. Well, and the bar is now spiked. Now I'm doing more. I'm putting more effort into it. Oh, all right. Now I should really look into macros. Start tracking my macros. That's another spike. And then once you get all these little like level ups of getting the gist of your diet, a basic training approach, pushing yourself pretty hard. If you've got most of that under control, then the only vector that's really going to change over time, I feel like, is your sort of training intensity and honestly just the amount of drive you can bring to your lifts. So every few months, I'd either have a shit lift or I'd see somebody in my gym actually pushing themselves. At the gym I was just at in yesterday's video, yeah, in yesterday's video, there used to be a guy there, fucking 30 pounds of meat. I combine muscle and beef. 30 pounds of muscle, at least, bigger than I am now. Like, dude was repping at 405 like nothing. Like, I've messed with 405 at incline, but this was his real working set. For this guy, 405 was my 315. Like, he has zero problem doing it, working sets back to back to back. And I wouldn't see him all the time. Maybe he trained in the morning or something, I don't know. But when I would see him, he was just fucking serious. Honestly, it might have just been like what's the word? Like an intimidation vibe that I picked up on him, or that I picked up from him. Because you gotta remember, at the time, he was fucking, I don't know, like upper mid 20s, and I'm like 17, and the dude was fucking nuts. But like that sort of thing, it should kind of fire you up, and you should sort of realize, like, fuck, I could be training harder, and then sort of step it up in terms of your intensity. That's your new bar. Now with all my lifts, if every set that I mean, not even every, if I had like even one set where I didn't push myself and like, I was at like, if I had a set where I had like 10 reps in the tank or something and I just re-racked it. Um, actually, that never even happens. I'm never even close to that point. If I even have a shitty set now, which usually only happens on my first set, like sometimes with leg extensions, I start a little bit too light and I could tell I called the set early. I won't even count it. So I think I'm kind of beyond that now. But if I knew that I had some shitty sets or I wasn't really in the zone, or just for whatever reason the lift was like shitty compared to my normal, then that's sort of like a wake-up call. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? And take it up a notch. So your new normal of intensity on a normal period of time, it should be pretty consistent. And then every so often you should have a moment of either just like pride, ego, whatever, where you're like, okay, I could be going way harder than I am now. And I'm not sure exactly what sort of spiked those moments, but I definitely benefited from them. Because every time that would happen, this was my baseline of intensity for my lifts, and then it would spike. This is my new normal. That's what I'm used to. So now I'm at back when I was a starter lifter, I was doing a lot more volume. So my workouts would be like 25 sets per body part. So I would do like 5 sets of straight bar pushdowns and then 5 sets of rope or whatever. And with that much volume, all my sets were just pretty fluffy. Like I'd have sets to failure of like bench or like some dumbbell curls. I think I probably took to failure. But a lot of my sets were really just like, feel a burn and then racking. I'm done. And oh my God. Let's just say this. Yuck. Ugh. So I think what I'm really trying to say is there's always an extra bar you can go. Nobody's really pushing every set as hard as they possibly can. If you were able to somehow hook up electrodes to my quads and smack me down on a leg extension and turned on a program which said, okay, fire at maximum capacity for maximum reps. I don't think I could ever get that set just, on my own, using my own fucking brain to, flex my quads. But I want to get as close to that as I can. That's all I'm really trying to say there. So, oh, I took the wrong exit. So, plan now is to meet up with the Hosstile crew, go smash back, and then head to day one of the expo. So I have absolutely no idea what the next clip is going to be. Maybe I'll try to get clips throughout the whole day process. But it's not really going to be a vlog style because I'm not going to fucking walk around with the camera. Whatever. We'll see what happens. I think this will either be like a 30-minute video or like an hour and a half video. I guess it depends on what I end up fucking setting my little tripod up for. But I guess tune in and find out. So I'll see you whenever the next time I fucking bust this thing out. All right, back, done, zilch. American Barbell did not disappoint. As though that's even a fucking question. This gym is fucking sick. So let's if you want to see the actual lift, you gotta wait for the Hosstile Arnold's day one vlog. But can't keep the pump away from you. Come on, that's fucking nonsense. Oh my goodness. So nothing too complicated. I mean, all there is fucking front and back lat spread. But solid lift. Now I'm fucking starving. I need to get. I didn't pack any food. I didn't prep any meals. So honestly, my diet for the next 3 days, I'm gonna have to make some serious moves because I'm already behind. It's 8 o'clock now. I haven't even eaten shit. I gotta get started quick. Do not be alarmed. This is not a casting couch video, as much as I bet some of you wish it was. Creeps. Nah, I'm just kidding. So, the Arnold is done. All 3 days complete. I feel so bad because every day we had to leave people in line because we were just closing down. Honestly, this was freaking crazy. Today, especially since it was a shorter day and it was the last day, for me, I couldn't see the line except for the first time that we had to walk through it, coming back from taking some other Arnold pictures. Jeez, it was nuts. You guys are really showing out. I'll say one thing: a lot of you guys that were here brought up the fact that you were doing your cardio. You're like, dude, I started doing my cardio because of you. Frankly, I don't believe half of you, right? I know the numbers. I know the truth. I've done the studies. But the cardio is not getting fucking done. But apart from that, insane weekend. We're about to go lift at the pros gym later. Me, Jacob, Ben, just the whole crew. So regularly scheduled content will return. Every time there's a big weekend event or, I'm going a Hosstile trip or whatever, it kind of, let's just say it sort of puts a little mix into things. But the whole vlog of the Arnold, the whole Hosstile booth and everything, that's going to be on the Hosstile YouTube channel. So I haven't watched those yet. I feel like I might want to wait a little while because I just lived it. I don't necessarily want to see it immediately. But no, this is freaking crazy. Especially because the last Arnold, I'm just walking around like a regular schmo. But I guess that's what a year of 315 bench throwing, 6 plate squatting. Okay, actually I haven't squatted 6 plates for a while. 5 plate squatting and a bunch of disgusting food will do to you. But don't worry, normal lift. Actually, crap. I think tomorrow is going to have to be a cardio video again. But after that, back to normal daily lifts. Oh, but in another 2 weeks, I'm going to kind of have a mess of things too because we're going to the UK for the UK Arnold. So if you're over there, if you're overseas, if you're part of the man, I've looked at the analytics. It's like 25% viewership from the UK. So I guess the lines are going to be just as crazy there too. So that'll be sweet. But let's see what else is there to say. It's crazy seeing everybody in person. It like I can't stress enough. If you've never seen like Jay Cutler or like Chris Bumstead or anybody, if you've only seen him on video, seeing him in person is just freaking sweet. So if you're ever close-ish or a few hours away from some kind of big lifting event or something like this, I definitely recommend you you could take a serious amount of time out of your day or even like a few days to make it out there. And if you're a serious lifter at heart, I think it'll be freaking worth it. But like I said, regular scheduled content tomorrow, or no, regularly scheduled content in 2 days. Let me get back to this freaking bulk. Because you got to remember, and I was just saying this to a couple people before, this isn't really the fun part. Like, obviously, this is fun, this is sweet, but, every dude who's out here at like these booths and whatever, the whole reason they're there is because they got jacked first. So I want to get back to there. I will be honest with you, in terms of the bulk, really big events like this always kind of throw a wrench into my gears. I don't have a scale here. I wish I did. Friday morning, 260, but Friday I hardly ate anything. Saturday was a bit better. I had some food. Well, not some food. I had a lot more food. And then today I've been pretty good too. So I'll have to update you in the, not in this description, but in tomorrow's or the day after and see what my weight's like. Because you got to remember, when you're bulking up, you're keeping your body in like a completely full state. And just by the nature of existing, even if I'm just sitting around, the fact that I got all this muscle floating around, and not like the fact that I have a ton, everybody, your muscles are constantly just burning energy, sitting here doing nothing. So as much food as I'm eating, my body's burning through it and trying to, get rid of it. So on days that I don't eat a lot of food, it doesn't mean my body's not going to burn through food. So what it's going to do is suck all the carbs out of my biceps and chest and legs and everything else. So I wouldn't be, honestly, I hope I'm not this light, but I wouldn't be surprised if I was like even 254. Fuck. I don't want to believe it, but even if it was 253, I wouldn't be too surprised. Because the bigger you get, the fluctuation in your weight, just due to water weight, it gets pretty wide. Because a smaller dude, like let's say like a 150-pound dude, he's only got so much room in his body, to hold extra carbs and water. But the bigger you get, like, I could, oof. If I went on like a 3-day fast, or like a 3-day just water only fast, I'm sure I could drop like 12 pounds because I'd just be like clearing out all the intramuscular glycogen and, everything else out of my system. So first order on the agenda after we go do what I assume to be chest, but I guess you're going to have to watch the Hosstile video to find out. At the pros gym, I need to start grubbing. I've got like 6 packs of fruit snacks floating around. Or I had 8 this morning, and now I've only got 2. I think they're in my pockets or something. I got to get those in me quick. Carb replenishment is the name of the game when it comes to my bulk. So I got to fill up the gas tank. If I'm looking at the digital gauge of my body right now, gas, if this is full and this is empty, fuck. Now I'm just talking in terms of carbs, just general energy level, I feel fine. But I'm like halfway through. So I got to get back up here. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind going over full to the point where I'm actually, putting on body fat. Because if you're bulking up, like, I do like this. I like the idea of eating in a surplus just enough to, facilitate muscle growth, but not more than you need. Because if you bulk too hard, you're just going to get fat. So I like the idea of like knowing where that calorie goal is. Because like, let's think about this. If your maintenance calories is like 2,000 calories, 2,500 calories, that's what you've been eating for like weeks on end, and your weight is just rock solid at 180, right? That's your shit. Now, if you ate 5,000 calories, look, you're just going to get fucking fat. Now, you're going to get big as well underneath, but a lot of that energy isn't going to be able to be utilized. It's just going to be wasted and spilled over. Your body doesn't want to waste things, so it's going to store it. All right, we're getting back into the old school, you know, eating to hibernate, eating enough food so you have enough body fat in your system to like hibernate yourself through the winter. So when times are good, you're going to put on some extra body fat. So somewhere within that range of 2,500 and 5,000 is like the perfect amount of calories where you've got just enough energy to build muscle and recover from your workouts, but not put on much, if maybe any body fat. And, for some people, that could kind of be their shit. Like they could hear that and that'll really resonate with them. And they'll say, oh, okay, that's perfect. So I'm just going to increase my calories very, very slowly, very minutely, maybe just a 200 calorie surplus, right? Main gain, which legit. And if that works for you, badass, you're growing muscle. That's what we're all here for. But for me, I kind of feel like, in a way, that's like unknowable. I'm not an exercise scientist. I'm not getting like my protein assays and whatever else like constantly monitored and registered, and like my oxygen, my VO2 max, and every other buzzword under the sun. So in my mind, if this is perfection, the perfect amount of calories, I just want to go above and beyond it. So I know I'm eating enough to grow. Which, for some people, if that doesn't sound right, don't do it. Half this shit, if you've got half a mind to think and understand what you're doing, then I really think that you're going to get the best results when, your diet or your training and everything else matches, or you can at least kind of understand the logic behind it and think, okay, this makes sense. This is how I'm going to do it. Because if you're like let's just say like a novice lifter, you got a coach telling you what to do. I mean, if you don't really understand why you're doing something, how are you going to go hard at it? It just doesn't make any sense. If your coach told you to do a workout and the whole time you're thinking, why would I do this movement? I don't like this. This is never going to work. You're just pre you're just pre-programming your mind for failure. Like, oh, this isn't going to work. This is bullshit. I'm not even going to try. Whereas maybe if your coach like explained the reasoning, oh, you're gonna target your brachialis more when you twist your hands and you supinate it, or any kind of random little tip like that. So in that sense, what I really think I'm trying to say is no matter what you're doing, training, diet, whatever, your split, as long as you can understand it and be able to explain it with a reasonable amount of logic, then I think you're doing something right. Now, a lot of people can do that, but there's one key factor, one key aspect of that sentence that is slightly switched, it's slightly altered, and that's they use bro logic, which sometimes is right. I'm not totally knocking on it, but a lot of the times it's just nonsense mumbo jumbo. Oh, if you do cardio, you're gonna burn muscle. Oh, you should hit abs so that you can spot reduce your body fat because you're working the muscle right underneath. You can kind of explain your way through a lot of stupid shit. So that's on you. That's on you, the viewer, to say, oh, okay, this makes sense when you see something that makes sense. And all right, this is fucking stupid when you see something stupid. That's it's not people's responsibility, unfortunately. And I'm just talking across the board, even just in life. Oh, we're getting kind of real philosophical here, but even just all across the board, anything, any kind of information. And nobody gets, I mean, unless you say something really crazy, nobody's going to get you in trouble for saying the wrong thing and explaining something wrong. So in that sense, you got to take a little bit of responsibility and think critically when you see people talk about XYZ. And like, oh, does that really make sense? Well, this guy's pretty big and he's pretty popular. Oh, I'll listen to him. Let's just say that's an equation for failure, right? But that's enough of my little chit chat. I got a shower. I may be nose blind. I got deodorant on. I showered. But oh, I would hate it if I was stinking all day. That'd be the worst. But shower, pre-workout, pros gym. You'll see that workout later. But like I was saying, normal videos coming back. I know I'm kind of annoying some of you with the cardio videos, especially because I don't record the cardio. But I'm not gonna You got to remember, I can't just sit here and talk to you for a straight 30 minutes when I'm doing my cardio. Now, I'm not doing a hardcore sprint, but I'm still kind of breathing heavy. That's still something I want to kind of, play on my phone during. But if you really want me to, next cardio video, I'll at least record a little bit of it. I kept getting comments that are like, why don't you record the cardio? Are you lying? Are you pretending to go do cardio and just getting in the car and then driving back? So skeptical. Come on. You know what that sounds like to me? That sounds like projecting, you know? Don't project your own insecurities on me because you're not doing your cardio, which you should be doing. But that's all I got. So I'll see you tomorrow for, yeah, cardio video. But after, back to lifts. I think it's, actually, I don't know. My whole split got kind of thrown off a whack. So after today, I guess I'm not sure what tomorrow's lift is going to be. We'll find out, but I'll see you next time for that.